In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the re-released VC09 Vintage Collection Boba Fett. Hi there Star Wars collectors, and welcome to another Bosk's Bounty video. As mentioned in the intro, we're going to be taking a look at the Reissue VC09 Boba Fett. He's on the Empire Strikes Back card, and as you can see, he's looking pretty good in his bubble there. But we do have some issues with the figure. I've been reading quite a few comments recently from people that have actually got this figure already, and some people are obviously happy with the figure because obviously they've never had this figure before. But the people that obviously had the original one, they're noticing some differences, and not all of them for the better. So we'll get into that in a minute, but we're just going to take a look at the packaging first off. So the packaging, the first thing that strikes me about the packaging is that we've gone back to the larger bubble. So I'm not really a fan of these. I'd prefer him to be in a skinnier bubble, you know, and keep the weapons on the side or something. You don't need them like that, and it takes up half the card. Not really a fan of it. Glad to see that the Boba Fett name in the name pill there is a slightly larger font size. So they've maybe sorted that out. We've got the Empire Strikes Back logo there, Kenner at the bottom, and obviously the classic image of Boba Fett on the front of the card there, with his big fireball thing coming out of his wrist weapon there. So this is a hark back to obviously the original card. Back of the card, so you can still see there VC09, we've got Disney up there and not down there like usual. I don't know whether this is a foreign card or something. It looks like the UK card because we've got the horrible bit of paper in the bottom there of the bubble. But I suppose the best thing about that is that you don't have that warning up there, which you sometimes do with the figures from the US. Back of the card there, we've got the Vintage Collection logo and some other figures. So obviously there's Boba Fett. We've got a bit of a mixed wave here. So we've got Chewie from a previous wave, and then we've got a couple of the figures from the newest wave, wave 7, I believe. I think Chewie and the Stormtrooper were wave 6. So there you go. There's the back of the card. Alright, so we're going to get the figure out. Now, unfortunately, I do not have the original VC09. I never actually picked that one up, purely because at the time I was not really opening figures or anything, and I always had the VOTC version, and to me that was the card back, so I didn't really need to get another Boba Fett. I didn't have space for it either. So, and you can see there, look at the difference with that of the cards. The little hanger there, obviously it's unpunched, this one, but you can just see how big they've made it on these new cards. Massive difference there. That's just a small thing I noticed anyway, but obviously this is a superior figure to this one. Very old figure, this one now. This is 2004. It's the original original trilogy collection. That's him there, so we'll just put him away. So we're going to open up the package and we're going to check out this figure. Alright, okay, so before we get into the details of the figure, if you wouldn't mind just dropping a like down below, that would really help this video and help the channel, so I do appreciate that. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button for more future videos. Alright, so as I mentioned before, I have been looking online at sort of what people have been saying about this figure in forums and what have you. And the main consensus is that the paintwork doesn't match the movie card. So this armour is more suited to the Return of the Jedi figure, when obviously they've put him on the Empire Strikes Back card. Now obviously back in 2010, when they first released VC09, he was on the Empire Strikes Back card, and then they repainted the figure, changed him up a little bit, and then they re-released him, I think, in 2011 on a Return of the Jedi card. So there's already a couple of versions of this figure anyway, from back in those days, from the early vintage collection. And obviously they want to get new collectors back into the line. Now they've re-released the vintage collection, they want to get them back into the line, so they've obviously released those core characters that we had in the first reissue of Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Leia, etc. And now we've got the most popular bounty hunter in Boba Fett. Some of the things that they have improved is the cape. So the cape's shorter on this figure. The other ones, it's too long, so they've actually shortened it, which people are really happy with. But all in all, I mean, obviously it's Boba Fett and he looks pretty damn good for a 3.75 inch figure. You know, if you're going to really be nitpicky about figures and paint jobs and whatever, that's absolutely fine. But at the end of the day, he is a pretty good looking figure. Another thing that was mentioned was the boots. So the first re-release of this figure, they changed the boots to have the big stripe down the toe or down the boot, and it seems that they've gone back to the inaccurate stripes on the boot there with no thick black line down them. You know, these are, as I say, nitpicky things, but collectors want these things right. Jetpack looks pretty good. The jetpack is removable. Some nice weathering on that jetpack all the way up to the tip of the rocket and all over it there. Some nice paintwork. Some nice detailing on the back of his belt there with the belt buckles. He does come with his pistol that you can obviously take out that holster there, so that does remove and he can hold that. And obviously he does come with his very familiar blaster. Nice armour work and paintwork on his armour, and obviously the helmet is removable on this figure. So if we just take that helmet off, and then we can have a look at the facial sculpt and facial paint, because obviously this is a reissue figure, so apparently they have used the photoreal paint technology. Now, compared to the other ones that we've had where they've used this technology, I'd have to say that this one isn't as good. The lips are quite dull, and his left eye on my one, yeah, you can't really see it that well. And he does sort of have a flesh colour that seems to be mainly one colour. So I can't actually see too much improvements on this one compared to other figures, like for example on the Hoth layer, where they, you know, redid the face paint on that figure. You know, did a really great job to update that figure. This one, not so much, but obviously it's under the removable helmet for most of the time anyway. And as you can see, there's some decent paintwork and detailing on that helmet. So we'll just plonk that back on. It's a nice snug fit, fits well. You can just see under there. So obviously he's got his gold shoulder pads and his little Mandalorian sign on his shoulder pad there. And he's got the same colour on his knee pads, and he's got all these little gadgets and stuff in his boots. So as I said, you know, these reissues are literally to get the new collectors into the vintage collection line, start collecting them, and then hope, you know, the hope is that they go off and buy all the other new ones that are out and start collecting all the old previous ones on the secondary market as well. Really stoke that interest and get new people into the line. So yeah, that is the reissue of Boba Fett. Obviously he comes with all the standard vintage collection articulation. He's got a ball jointed neck and head, ball jointed shoulders, elbows. He has articulation on his gloves rather than his wrist, so it's more of a split on the lower arm rather than on the wrist. He does have swivel legs, ball jointed knees, and you know, we've got a hinge ball in the ankle. Alright then guys, that is the reissue VC09 Boba Fett. Let me know in the comments section down below what you think. Are you a collector that, you know, is really sort of nitpicky about the paint job and that you want it exactly to have the exact armour because he's on the Empire Strikes Back card, he must have that Empire Strikes Back armour? Or are you just glad that they've reissued this figure and it's given you a chance to pick him up nice and cheap? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you very much for watching as per usual, and we shall see you on the next one.